Welcome to the Pizza Palace. We specialize in circumference and arc length. Today we will be using our most popular pizzas to help you master this skill. Enjoy! Confusing concepts. Many students get confused on finding circumference and arc length when there are busy diagrams. Here are some solutions. Make sure you know what the question is asking. Focus on what the diagram is showing. Plug in everything you know into the correct formula. Pay attention to details. Vocabulary. The circumference of a circle is the distance around the circle. For all circles, the ratio of the circumference to the diameter is the same. This ratio is known as pi. The distance across a circle through its center is the diameter. The distance from the center of a circle to any point on the circle is the radius. Theorem 11.8 Circumference of a circle. The circumference c of a circle is c equals pi d, or c equals 2 pi r, where d is the diameter of the circle and r is the radius of the circle. Helpful tips. One of the most common mistakes when calculating the circumference of a circle is mixing up the radius and diameter. So make sure you're using the correct one in your calculation. Remember that circumference is a distance and your result should be in linear units. Example 1, using circumference. Find the circumference of a pizza with a radius of 6 centimeters. First, you're going to write the formula for circumference, which is 2 pi r, or pi d. Since they gave you the radius, it would be easier to use 2 pi r. So you're going to plug in 6 for the radius, and that will equal 12 pi, because you're going to multiply 6 by 2. And then when you type in 12 pi into your calculator, that will equal about 37.70. So the circumference is about 37.7 centimeters. Example 2. Using circumference. Find the radius of a circle with a circumference of 31 meters. So in this problem, you're going to be working backwards. First, you'll want to write the formula for circumference, which is 2 pi r, or pi d. But since you're trying to find the radius, you'll want to use 2 pi r. Next, you're going to substitute 31 for c, because the circumference of the pizza is 31 meters. Then you're going to divide each side by 2 pi. 31 divided by 2 pi is approximately 4.93, so the radius is about 4.93 centimeters. Vocabulary. An arc length is a portion of the circumference of a circle. In a circle, the degree measure of an arc is equal to the measure of the central angle that intercepts the arc. Arc length corollary. In a circle, the ratio of the length of a given arc to the circumference is equal to the ratio of the measure of the arc to 360 degrees. Reminder. When you are setting it up, think of the proportion as part of a circle over the whole circle. When the arc length is given, use the formula with a proportion. If you are finding the arc length, it does not matter which formula you use. Working with arc length, a lot of fractions are involved. Simplifying them makes it much easier. Remember that you can do that very quickly with your calculator. All you have to do is press Math, Enter, Enter. Example 1, finding arc length. Find the length of each arc. So, the diagram of the pizza shows that the central angle is 45 degrees and the radius is 5 centimeters. First, you're going to use one of the formulas, which is the arc length of AB is equal to the measure of AB over 360 degrees times 2 pi r. Since we know that the central angle is 45 degrees, the measure of AB is also 45 degrees. So you're going to plug that into the formula, and then you're going to plug in 5 for the radius. After that, you can simplify 45 over 360 to 1/8. Then you can multiply 1/8 times 2 pi times 5. You will get about 3.93. So the arc length of AB will be approximately 3.93 centimeters. Example 2. Finding arc length. Find the length of each arc. The diagram of the pizza shows that the central angle is 100 degrees and the radius is 7 centimeters. The formula that you will be using is the arc length of EF is equal to the measure of EF over 360 degrees times 2 pi r. Since we know that the central angle is 100 degrees, the measure of EF will also be 100 degrees. So you'll plug in 100 degrees for the measure of EF, and then you'll plug in 7 for the radius. Your formula should be the arc length of EF is equal to 100 degrees over 360 degrees times 2 pi times 7. Once you multiply 100 over 360 times 2 pi times 7, you should get about 12.22. So the arc length of EF is approximately 12.22 centimeters. Example 1. Using arc length. Find the indicated measure, circumference. So the diagram of the pizza shows that the measure of the central angle is 40 degrees, and the arc length of XY is 4.19 inches. The formula you want to use will be the arc length of XY over 2 pi r is equal to the measure of XY over 360 degrees. Think of this proportion as part over whole is equal to part over whole. 4.19 inches is part of the pizza circumference, so that will go over 2 pi r. And we know that the measure of the central angle is 40 degrees, so the measure of XY has to be 40 degrees too. So you will put 40 degrees over 360 degrees. After that, you can simplify 40 over 360 to 1/9. Then you can do cross product. You'll get 4.19 times 9 is equal to 2 pi r. That will equal 37.71 inches is equal to 2 pi r. Circumference equals 2 pi r, so C equals 37.71 inches. Example 2. Using arc length. Find the indicated measure. Measure of SG. This time we're trying to find the measure of the arc. The diagram of the pizza says that SB is equal to 15.28 centimeters. SB is the radius, and the arc length is 44 centimeters. The formula will be arc length of SG over 2 pi r is equal to measure of SG over 360 degrees. You will plug in 44 for the arc length of SG, and then 15.28 for the radius. 15.28 times 2 pi is about 96.007. Now you can do cross product. After that, you will divide 96.007 on each side. 15,840 divided by 96.007 is about 164.988. So the measure of SG is approximately 164.988 degrees.